Do we do an intro?
This is it.
This is an intro?
We're not really doing any cutting, so
Can I just start with the beginning of the show?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey everybody, and where do I look over here? Hey everybody, it's Sean with the Good Dog, and this is the very close and cozy, lovely Laura Morgan. We are in Dallas, Texas, and we are in the middle of the Train the Trainer seminar, and we are coming to you live and direct to do a little Q&A Saturday.
So how we're going to do it is we're going to do one question at a time. Probably going to do a few at our lunch break, but we take little 10-minute breaks at T3, so we're just going to do a couple questions here and there, try to answer you guys. Sorry it's not the fancy camera, but we're doing it on the fly.
Low key, everybody. Hope you can hang with us.
Okay, so we're not even putting titles in, I don't think. Maybe title
This is question number one.
Question number one. This is from Alessandro Ferri. Alessandro says, "Hey Sean and Laura, I was just wondering, when you did your pack walk business, how did you get all 8 to 10 dogs at your place for the walk? Did owners drop them off, or did you pick them up and put them in crates at your house until you got all and then went on walks, or what? I want to start doing pack walks to save up money for T3. Hey! Awesome. And to get more experience walking a pack, but that's the part I'm stuck on. I will probably be short-term until I find a trainer to train under, meeting Tori Smith this week. So nice. I'm looking at the license and stuff I'll need to do marketing, but I'm just wondering how to get all the dogs at one time in one place. Thanks ahead of time."
First of all, I just want to comment and say that the angle you're using from up top is really, I really like it.
Oh, you like it?
It's helping with the double chin, the triple chin, the quadruple chin. Like, it's really giving
down here is so weird.
Bad stuff,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So I'm even higher. Oh man, so I'm just digging. That took 10 years off me. I love it. Alessandro, okay, awesome question. This takes us back to our golden years, doesn't it, Laura?
Sorry.
Back to the golden years of the Good Dog when it was just getting started. So what we would do for what we would do for our pack walk program is that we would typically have some board and trains or some boarding dogs. Usually they were boarding trained dogs that were staying with us. We'd have our pack. Hold steady, baby. And we'd have like probably Polar Bear, Hercules, Junior, Bell, and Oakley. So we'd have our 5, and then we'd do 2 cars. We'd grab probably another 3 maybe like board and train dogs that we could safely transport. And then we drive them up to a spot where we had kind of a hub of dog walking clients all in a neighborhood that were pretty darn close. And so that would mean we'd arrive with what? We'd arrive with 5 of our own. We'd grab a couple golden retrievers from our very first client ever, Carolyn Bender, and the first woman ever to trust us. And then we would go down the street and we'd grab a few other dogs. We could actually walk to the clients and pick them up from there. At some point we had to drive to a couple more, but we kept them all in that kind of same location.
Yeah, keep them all in the same neighborhood. If you can get neighborhood dogs, then you're dealing with not having to do a bunch of driving around.
Yeah.
I mean, I also drove around a lot, which Sean doesn't remember, but I would go drive around and go pick up
walks, right? So
that's what I'm talking about too. I'd drive around and go grab dogs and go up to the location. So if you have safe dogs together, like the way Savitsky, our guy, does his pack walks, is he'll go around and grab the safe dogs from their houses.
Yep.
Safe meaning they can be in the car together, in general proximity. Yep. And then get them all in the car, and then take them to a place where there's a nice walk where he can do kind of as his base camp.
Right. So our method wasn't the only method, right? So that happened to work for us because we had a bunch of dogs in one location. I think we probably had like 5 dogs kind of like within a couple blocks of each other that we could grab once we got there with ours. So that would give us like 10, 11 dogs, something like that. Laura would also do dog walking in different neighborhoods where she'd just drive up independently and go grab those dogs. So that was another model. And then like she's talking about Sean Savitsky with it's Alpha Walk, right? With Alpha Walk, Sean's got a big truck, now he's got a smaller vehicle. He's got crates in it, and what he'll basically do is, like Laura said, grab the dogs that he can grab. And typically what he does is, I think he does multiple kind of like walks during the day. He might do 3 walks, and they're all in kind of different locations.
Yeah.
So he grabs those dogs in that location, walks them, grabs another bunch of dogs in another location, walks them, and then that makes up the course of his day. We were just lucky that we had a bunch of them all in one spot, so we kind of got spoiled.
Yeah.
Those are all the early pictures you see with me with a ton of dogs. Those were all from our early pack walks, and that's in Beverly Hills, actually. So if you don't have that luxury, then you're going to have to group them together when you can. You might have to do
Long story short, because we got to go in.
Wow.
Long story
Yeah,
short.
this is going, guys.
You,
so what happens in Texas?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'm done.
Long story short, if you want to grab all the dogs, I wouldn't like come bring them all to your house and then go from there. I would just go pick them up, do small, you know, find a kind of a base area where you want to work out of. Maybe if a couple of them live in that neighborhood, then just bring a couple with you.
Yeah.
Grab those dogs and then send them back to whence they came.
Yeah, and honestly, the most important thing that I can share is to keep it safe. It's easy to get kind of smitten with the idea of like big pack walks, and obviously it's a great marketing thing, and it looks really fantastic and amazing if you've got 6, 7, 8, 12 dogs, something like that. But boy, do you have to be cautious, especially if you're working with any kind of behavior mod dogs, any dogs with any issues. Much better to do smaller walks with dogs that you can really safely wrangle than get a bunch of dogs together, because you up the potential for trouble. We never had a pack fight, but boy, would that be a terrifying thing to fall into. So my final piece of advice would be to really be cautious about who you mingle with, and then the really, really good one is no big dogs and no really small dogs on pack walks together, because a small dog that gets panicky, stepped on by another dog, freaked out, and starts to, you okay? Getting bugs?
Bugs.
Getting small dogs screaming or something like that can cause big dogs to do a pack attack, and then you can find yourself in a really bad space really quick. So that's our answer. Be careful out there, make it happen, and just be kind of logical with it. What's going to best work for you in your time, to where you're not driving too much, but to where you also don't have too many dogs at one time that it's dangerous. All right? Thanks, Alessandro.
Okay, guys, question number 2.
2.
This is from Shelly Keys. She says, my Belgian Terv rushes the fence and growls when little kids are in our next door neighbor's yard. She's a rescue, is very timid with all strangers, and growls and barks at little children and little dogs. We're working to socialize her, but that behavior is totally unacceptable, and I'm not sure how to handle it, especially when she's off leash.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, off-leash stuff like that with bad behavior, you know, if you don't have e-collar training on board, it can be a very challenging thing to try and deal with, because otherwise you got to go shoo the dog away. You're probably not going to be able to create enough of an inhibition to make the dog not go after that behavior again, because he's probably really annoyed, stressed, freaked out by those kids. So I know this is going to sound like too easy of an answer for us and too hard of work for you, but e-collar training would be absolutely the suggestion. It'll create way more confidence and security and better behavior with your rescue dog that you're worried about, right? Your dog's all stressed out. Get your dog at least, I just posted 5 videos today on my Facebook page, so you'll have to go back because this will come later, but go back to that, and it's got all of my recall videos on there, and you can at least just go pick up an e-collar mini educator, get it off of Amazon, $180, teach your dog recall, pattern that for a few days, recall the dog away from there, or you can even just correct for getting nasty at the fence. What you'll find is you'll start to create more confidence with your dog, better stability, better mental stuff going on with your dog, and you'll have the ability, watch out with that HD stuff, sorry, we got weird stuff going on with our camera, and you'll also be able to influence your dog at a distance, which is really the promised land. Without e-collar training, all you'll be able to do is yell, throw a newspaper, stuff like that, and that's not going to work for you. So e-collar training is the way to go for that kind of stuff. And then if you want to really get down, go down the rabbit hole, teach, play, sit down, and all that stuff, and then you'll get a dog like of your dreams rather than just a dog you're trying to kind of cope and deal with. So e-collar training for you and your turf.
Yay! Okay, we are in an RV, surprisingly. See outside?
Not just any RV. This is Jeff Gelman's.
Jeff Gelman's RV.
Magic RV.
And we have just a quick lunch break here. And so we're going to do something kind of special where, oh, this is on selfie mode, so I guess, yeah. All right, so we're going to do something special where I'm going to ask the question, then I'm going to flip it over to Sean, and we're going to go like that for these next, we're going to do maybe 5 in the RV and then do a couple more throughout the day, and you guys are gonna have
a couple in the outhouse.
Yeah.
Just move it around.
All right, so we have question number 3. This comes from Lisette. Lisette says, I have a 2.5-year-old staffy mix who loves people. She gets too excited. It's difficult for strangers and guests to pet her. I've been working on the sit and stay with lots of exercise, but she recently started to go right into play bow and then crazily hopping about each time someone physically reaches for her. I immediately correct her and put her back in the sit and stay. It works until the person tries to physically interact again and we have to start all over. She gets even more excited when children want to pet her. It's driving me crazy. I want others to enjoy my dog, and I want my dog to stay at least somewhat calm and be able to receive pets. I don't have anyone to volunteer to help me work with her, so we head off to local parks where we'll run into strangers. I've been working here for 2 months, and I'm now able to get her calm in the presence of strangers, but she still gets overexcited whenever someone tries to interact. Any suggestions to help my lovable pooch more calm so others can pet her without her going crazy? Okay, and
Lisette, do I take it from here?
you can, yeah.
Okay, this is a whole new gig. All right, Lisette. Okay, so your pittie is doing the stuff that a lot of dogs do, which is just get really excited when human interaction. Dogs that really like humans get really excited with that stuff. So I don't know what kind of tools you're using. You didn't say if you're doing leash and prong or e-collar or anything like that. If you're not using any tools would most definitely help. If you're just trying to use verbal and spatial pressure, that's really tough. So leash and prong at the very basic or the very minimum, and I would teach place command instead of sit or down. And it'll lock your dog down more, and it'll probably just over the long haul get your dog more calm and more relaxed. And then I'd wait longer on having humans interact with your dog. Let your dog get bored with them being around, right? So I'd stretch out the duration before you say that you release your dog to have people touch them. Just because people want to touch your dog doesn't mean it's the best thing for your dog, right? It's oftentimes the best thing for the person. The dog just gets excited, gets Jones, gets all worked up, and then the dog gets corrected. So not really always the best thing for the dog. So I personally, when we work through this stuff with dogs like board and trains or dogs that are in home, we typically do it with e-collar. We can do it with prong and leash, but basically you have to kind of start to create some impulse control, which means you have to kind of correct the dog when the dog starts to get excited to where the dog will start to do better self-management. I'm trying to make hand signals and I realize you can't see them. So you need to get the dog to do better self-management. The way we get better self-management is by saying that when you start to get excited, you actually have to manage yourself. You have to control yourself, and I can't do that with the treat. At least I don't agree or believe that you can really get reliable stuff like that with the treat when you've got excitement levels like that. So leash and prong on at the basics, or as at a minimum. Teach your dog place command. I just posted a ton of place commands this week on one of my good dog tips. Get your dog to rock and roll with that. Have people ignore your dog. Let your dog just sit in place for a while. Then when you want to go introduce your dog to people, take your dog on leash with the leash and prong and say, let's go. Don't just let your dog break and just run around crazy. Walk over, bring your dog over to people. Have people be kind of neutral and relaxed. If your dog starts to get too festive and too excited and too crazy, then say no and give your dog a nice firm pop on the leash. Now, this isn't contrary to a lot of stuff out there going to cause your dog to not like people, to not trust people, to be fearful of people. All it's doing is managing excitement and arousal levels, right? So your job is just like if your kid, every time you took him out to dinner, ran up and down the aisles of, I don't know if there's aisles, but ran all around the restaurant going, this is so much fun, I'm so happy to be here. You'd have to say, knock it off, or we're not going out to dinner anymore. You'd have to try and be able to impede that craziness. So that's basically what we're saying is it's not that you're not allowed to interact with people. It's not that you can't be friendly. It's not that you can't be happy or excited, but you have to do a better job of managing yourself. So leash and prong, let the place command sit and simmer, get the dog more calm, have the people ignore a little bit more, then let's go, guide the dog over. As long as the dog's having a nice peaceful interaction, everything's cool, you don't have to do anything. Dog starts to get mouthy or crazy or jumpy or excited, say no and give a nice firm pop on the leash. If the dog looks like, whoa, I don't know what's going on, just stay neutral. Don't say, oh baby, it's okay. Just stay neutral. Let the dog walk around, bring the dog back around to people. People can touch the dog. And what you're doing is basically teaching different levels of acceptable behavior in situations where your dog is excited. You can do the same thing with e-collar, low levels, bring the dog around after being in place. If you're doing e-collar stuff, dog starts to get excited, say no, give a little touch, a little tap on the e-collar just to say, hey, calm down a little bit, just relax. That's how you cultivate, that's how we do it. That's how we get dogs that are overly excited to be able to interact and mingle and just take it easy and chill. They can only do it if we I always say that dogs can do better work than typically what they offer, and the only reason that they should feel compelled to offer it is if we demand it. Otherwise, why not just be crazy? Because it feels good to just be crazy. So if you'd like something more from your dog, you have to demand it, and by using consequences for inappropriate behavior, you start to cultivate and create that. And now, that's it. I'm sending it back, selfie style.
Okay, guys. Question number 4. From Shannon Morris, she says, my 1-year-old Pittie has only 2 speeds, fast and faster. Need help calming her down. We do 2 to 3 structured walks a day. We play fetch with her. We practice place and threshold training before she goes outside and comes out of the crate. But every chance she gets, she turns into the Tasmanian devil. Inside the house, she's on leash, flat collar for faster correction. Outside on walks, she's on prong.
What was the name again, Laura?
Shannon.
Shannon. Hey, Shannon. Okay, so that's pretty typical stuff for a lot of pitties. A lot of pitties have high energy. They're really excitable and, probably young and just kind of goofy and all that. So I like that you've got a leash on your dog inside the house, but the flat buckle collar, the reason you're using the prong on the walk is so you can interact and communicate and get really good stuff on the walk. Let's transfer that same stuff inside the house. Any of our client dogs that are just doing leash and prong work, that we always require that they have a leash and prong on, strangely enough, inside the house to where you can communicate both what you like and what you don't like with your dog. So if you've got too much excitability going on, you need to be able to interrupt it and correct it and say, hey, we need you to temper that a little bit. I don't know if she said if she was doing place command, but I would be doing major duration place command work with this dog, because it's not just about exercise. It's not just about like trying to blow through that exercise and get all of it out, because you'll never get it all out. What you need to do is teach your dog an off switch, right? So your dog knows how your dog's got a really good handle on the on switch, but not such a good one on the off switch. So this is just like the last question I answered. I've got a bunch of place command videos that I compiled together on a good dog tip about place command, and that was following this week, just a few days ago. I'd go to those, I'd watch those. Leash and prong on your dog, teach your dog place command, proof place command, make sure place command is rock solid. Get your dog to spend multiple hours a day on place command. When your dog's not playing, not on a walk, not exercising, not having fun, not doing something like that, which should only be a small portion of your day, like a walk should be 45 minutes, and then another one 45 minutes, playtime half an hour, and then, that should be kind of like the free time if you're trying to train your dog. The roaming should be to a minimum, and then beyond that, your dog should be in place and you can move around to multiple place commands. That's going to teach your dog how to have an off switch, how to manage itself, and how to be able to be calm and contain itself. And the way that you proof and move through that is by making sure that you create a non-negotiable, once you've fairly trained place command, a non-negotiable command and boundary with that you can't just move off a place when you want to, which will mean you'll start to cultivate and condition your dog that when I go to place, I'm going to be here a long time, so I'll just relax and go to sleep, which starts to get the brain to be able to have access to, I'll just go to sleep and I can be crazy. I'll go to sleep and I can be crazy. And those can be controlled by you, rather than right now. I think what's happening is the dog, I can be crazy, and then the quiet time comes when it's probably the middle of the night and the dog goes to sleep. So you can actually cultivate and create it to where you have it on tap, and you can actually have it on cue, place, dog goes, wow, I'm usually here for a long time, goes to sleep and relaxes and takes it easy. Dog breaks command. Got to have a leash and prong on so you can correct. If you're not doing e-collar work, if your dog gets nutty in the house, you got to have a leash and prong on to correct. You got to be able to cultivate what you like and what you don't like. And with a flat buckle collar, you're not going to be able to get what you want. You'll be able to like hold on to your dog, water skiing style, but you won't be able to actually get your dog information that's valuable about what you don't like. So leash and prong on, place command, lots of duration work, proof it, teach your dog the on and off switch, and you should be well on your way to some super awesome stuff.
Okay, guys, we've got question number 5 in the house. This is from Sue Roth. She says, hey, Sean and Laura, love Q&A Saturday. Makes getting answers so fun and easy. I also love the podcast because I commute in my car. Great. Speaking of car rides, my Border Collie Bichon mix started at 6 months old to get car sick. Excessive salivating, panting, and eventually vomiting. Yes, a miserable scene. We don't fuss over her, just minimize stuff in the crate with her and cover the area beneath the crate to protect the car. She is always excited to get in the car, but within a quarter mile starts the whole salivate routine. I'm talking a river of spit, not just a little drool. Works out best to just keep her crated to control where the mess happens. We've tried covering the crate, Dramamine, withholding food, limiting fluids, different cars, different positions in the car. Drugs seems our current solution to minimizing the misery, but not completely successful. Any other thoughts? Not sure why it started at 6 months. Even went with some, I think she used to take her everywhere in the car before. Something like that, yeah.
What's her name?
Her name is Sue.
Sue. Hey, Sue. Wow, that's a tough one. Excuse me. Man, car sickness, especially after you've tried so many things. I'm trying to rack my brain for a good answer. You already kind of have been a pretty darn smart owner and have gone through a lot of the possibilities, a lot of the solutions that I might have tried. I'd say that honestly, the one thing that you haven't tried that would be my go-to, if this is my dog and I'm like, man, every time we want to go somewhere, it is a wreck, it is a disaster, it's, stressful and can't get her better, and we've tried Dramamine, we've gone to the vet, we've done all this stuff. What I would do is, excuse me, is that I would only feed my dog in the car. Right? And that can be a pain in the butt because you've got to then coordinate and organize car rides to be able to create feeding stuff. But the chances are that your dog won't be wanting to eat in the car because it'll be too stressed. So it'll take multiple car rides for your dog to start to develop enough hunger to where it actually wants to. Now, this is predicated on the hope that this is just a psychological thing and maybe something happened at some point where your dog, who knows why, at 6 months developed some real negative connection and association with the car. I don't know. If you've been to the vet and you've really kind of exhausted that, then I'm going to hope that there's no physiological component of it. And if there's no physiological component, then we've got to find a way psychologically, a doorway in to try and make this better. And for this kind of stuff, I'm trying to think, rack my brain. I mean, you could do exercises where, and I'll get back to the food thing, but I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. You can do exercises where you have the, where you're not going for a ride and you've got the, the tailgate open and bring your dog in and bring it in, feed it some treats, take it out, bring it in, feed it some treats, take it out. You can try stuff like that. If your dog's really stressed, it probably won't take any treats or any food like that. But I'm just trying to think about how you can kind of counter condition or recondition the dog to feel different without it actually going for a car ride. So it's just getting in the car without any stuff. But my suspicion is that you got a pretty serious case on your hands with it. And so what I would do is, once again, it's a tough road to hoe because it involves more organization work and you being extremely patient and being willing to say I'm only going to feed my dog. I'm going to offer food every day, but I'm only going to feed my dog in the car. And I would probably do it with the car running, so you mimic some kind of actual traveling thing going on. And you can start with the car just not moving and have the dog in the crate and try and feed the dog. Dog doesn't eat. Dog comes out of the car. Another attempt at night. Dog goes in the crate, food goes in the crate, dog doesn't eat, dog comes out, and just only feed when the dog's in the car. And this can take days, right? If the emotional intensity of the anxiety or the problem is high enough, it can take days for hunger to override that. The magic is that when you get to that point where the hunger overrides it, excuse me, then it can actually have enough power to override that anxiety and start to really counter condition the dog and make the dog feel very different about this thing that it's really felt uncomfortable, worried, and freaked out about. So it's not an easy answer, because because you already have done all the other good stuff. You've been really smart with this. But whenever we're dealing with like heavy situations and we've got heavy psychological conditioning things, we have to leverage what's going to be a very powerful way to counter condition the dog. And just treats alone typically won't do it. You need to build up enough food drive to where the dog really has enough emotional intensity, enough hunger to override the emotional intensity and the anxiety that the dog's got built up with the exercise. So a challenging one, but one that there's definitely hope for if you pursue that route. But once again, you got to be patient. You got to be willing to say, like, my dog hasn't eaten in a couple days, and I'm okay with that because I keep offering my dog food, and that's the way I'd go with it. So hope that helps. Let us know. All right.
Okay, thanks. Guys, question number 6. This comes from Lisa Lenny, or Lise Lenny. What would be the best way to transition from e-collar back to a regular collar? And how long should you train a dog on an e-collar approximately? Thank you.
Oh man, tough question, Lisa. Lise, Lenny. Okay, so depends what context we're talking about. So if we're talking about like off-leash, hiking stuff, anything like that, I don't recommend you take the dog off the e-collar. I always want the e-collar on because I always want a safety belt. I always want the security. I always want the safety of making sure that I can always get my dog back. I don't care how good my dog is. Something can come up, you know, where animal, something crazy goes on, something really unexpected. You don't have an e-collar on, and then that's really a bad situation. So I think for the amount of time that it takes to put an e-collar on your dog for outside stuff, it's never worth it not to put it on for that. So I'm gonna create 2 different situations here. So outside, e-collar's always on, no matter how long your dog's had it. I always want you to have that security and peace of mind you can get your dog back. Inside the house, that really depends on your dog and your homework and how well you've done, and how consistent and stable your dog is and reliable your dog is with e-collar commands. If you find that your dog's on e-collar in the house and you haven't used the e-collar in months, and your dog always comes when you call and doesn't break command and is just $1,000,000 with it, then obviously it starts to look like that's time when you can start getting rid of that collar if you want to do it inside. But if, you know, once a day or once every couple of days or once a week, your dog is like, you call him and he's like, nothing doing, this is a really comfy bed and I'm not coming, then what you're doing is you call that dog doesn't move, dog realizes, you know, I don't have the e-collar on, I don't have to come, and then the dog starts to become collar wise, and then you start to lose all of that stability or reliability, I should say, with your dog with the e-collar. So what I'd look for is I'd look for just like magically awesome reliability and really consistent, steady compliance without having to nag or ask again. It's just rock solid. That's when I would start to look at the possibility of taking the e-collar off. But typically that's months at a time of, you know, I remember when Laura was working with Polar Bear to get him in a good space. It was, you know, I think, was it 6 months, Laura, something like that, of like real kind of like dedicated work. And but he was a shepherd and he was really happy to work. So some dogs it's going to take a little longer. Some dogs that are cupcakes, it might take a little shorter. But once again, look for just like absolute reliability, stability, consistency. And then when you start to get that, then you can take a look at it. Of course, if the dog starts to fall apart without the e-collar on, e-collar's got to go back on. So it takes 2 seconds to put them on. So for me, like, I'm just not so interested personally, like, oh, we got to get rid of the e-collar, because the e-collar is just an invisible leash and it's so awesome having on your dog, whether you're inside or out. And you can get these really cool, like, e-collar technologies has these really cool straps that have got bungee cords built into them to keep it flexible and comfortable for your dog, that flexes when your dog's neck swells and then contracts when he relaxes. They also have these cool buckles, so you don't always have to like clip it. You can just like set it and forget it and clip, and those are cool for dogs that are going to wear e-collars for a long time. So that's kind of my answer on that. If your dog's awesome and it's super awesome for a consistent amount of time, you can take a look at that idea. And otherwise you can just keep using the e-collar. But if you're really determined to get off of it, it's consistency that builds that conditioning to where your dog hears come And he goes, come. He goes, and he doesn't hear come, and goes, are you close enough to come get me? Is there a collar on? That kind of stuff. So that's what we're looking for. Hope that helps.
Okay, question number 7. This is from Andalyn Knapsford. She says, hello, I have an 8-month-old female mastiff who's never been trained that I recently rescued. I have trained dogs to heel and walk with your prong methods before with awesome success. This dog, however, is in full cower at all times. I cannot keep her standing, much less do any walking. She's extremely fearful at everything, but is sweet-natured and non-aggressive. How can I build her to standing so we may move forward? I've been ignoring and calling her to me indoors, and she'll slowly come and take all the treats from your hand. She allows petting, but all the while she's on her belly. I've searched and I've been unable to find anything with this issue online. I have much respect for you guys and would appreciate any suggestions you have. It's a tough one.
Man, that is a tough one. What was her name, Laura?
Oh, I just lost it. Andalyn.
Andalyn with a mastiff, right?
No. Yeah.
Yep. Andalyn with a super fearful mastiff. Man, that's a tough one. We just had a rescue dog in that we were working with named what's that?
Bert?
No. That Sarah was working with that would drop to the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
Leica. So we're just working with Leica. Now Leica was not that fearful, but any pressure would typically cause Leica to drop to the floor, any prong pressure or anything like that. So, man, it's so hard for me to advise without seeing your dog, without being able to be hands-on, so this is a tough one. But typically what I would do with the dog like this is I would try and go somewhere like the park or something, and leash and prong collar on, and just try and go for like a nice, not structured walk even, like, and I know I'm always saying structured walk, but with a dog like this, I would just be like, come on, let's just go have some fun. Let's just kind of move around. Let's just kind of do our thing. You could even try like putting the dog on a flat buckle or a martingale and a long line and just kind of wandering around and trying to build up confidence. I'm not sure how long you've had this dog with you in your presence, so hard to say how much relationship you have built up. If the prong collar is shutting the dog down and causing the dog to really be, really freaked out by even the mildest pressure, then you might want to go to like a martingale collar, long line, and then just start going somewhere and having some fun and just kind of hanging out, not worrying about like training, just kind of like hanging, and then typically what happens is once the dog learns that it can trust you and that nothing bad is going to happen and that they can stand up without having to worry, then you tend to get more consistent upright posture and everything seems to get better and better. And that's kind of what we saw with this rescue dog, who if you applied some prong pressure, she would kind of drop, and but over time she got better and better and better. So not always an easy one to advise on, and boy, I wish I was right there with you so I could help you kind of problem solve it together. Yeah, I mean, e-collar would be great, but I don't even know if that's a possibility. Laura's just suggesting e-collar. E-collar would be great because there's not the constricting kind of pressure that goes on with the prong, which can be more neutral and easy on a dog. But I think I'm just trying to kind of problem solve with what it sounds like you're using, which is more minimal tools. So let's just take it like this. So if you feel like the prong is really shutting the dog down, let's just do a martingale or flat buckle, and I prefer a martingale so the dog can't back out, long line, and then just go to the park or go somewhere fun and just kind of hang and wander and just let the dog just kind of be a dog and build up some trust. Once you get to that point where that's more solid, then I would probably add a prong and use very, very light pressure, and just teach the dog to do fun stuff with me without any major consequences or anything like that. Just a really sensitive dog needs a really sensitive interaction and conversation and communication and handling, and I would go from there, and then slowly as the dog becomes more confident, then you can ask a little more and a little more and a little more. Now, of course, the best thing for these fearful guys is just to is just to use an e-collar, because you can get rid of that constrictive pressure, and you can actually cause the dog to feel like the dog is doing more of the work rather than you and the leash kind of pulling or forcing or, you know, insisting that they do something. The dog feels like they're more doing it, so that can be more valuable. So, but I don't know what kind of tools you're able to use or what you have access to. So those kind of be the three things that I'd suggest. And less obedience, less like gotta do this, and more like soft, let's dance a little bit, let's get the dog into a good state of mind, and then we can ask for more down the line when the dog's a little more stable and a little more comfortable. So hopefully that helps.
Okay guys, change of scenery once more. We've got question number 7. This is from Jackie Burnett Arias. She says, "Hi guys, I have 2 male neutered Cane Corsi. They are great at home, but when I take them to our seasonal campsite, they become hellions. They bark, growl at every dog that walks by. They are on their leads, and I try to get in front of them to redirect their attention to me and give a firm no, but it's just not working, and I could use some tips on how to get them calm. I do walk them a lot to keep their energy down. Thank you."
Corsi or Corso? 2 Cane
There's
Corso?
2. Yeah.
Is it plural?
Corsi.
Corsi, is that how that works?
Maybe.
I'm learning something new every day. Laura, could you help me out with that? Because we've got a long day of training the trainers today. My brain is cooked. The question was, she's got 2 Cane Corsos and what?
2 Cane Corsos, and they are fine unless they're at this campsite.
Okay, they don't like camping?
And when they're camping, they start to growl and bark and lunge at people and other dogs. Or other dogs, mainly.
Camping's supposed to be relaxing.
I think.
They should be chilled out. They should be like getting the s'mores together, right, and like feet up and okay, so this is a question we don't get every day. Like, what do you do about dogs that don't like camping? I guess
in this different
yeah, you know, I'm kidding, but so something's going on as far as like, you know, they're feeling, you know, probably this kind of weird thing of like, okay, here's our place, right? Here's our spot. And yet there's all these like people going around, you know, like infiltrators and, you know, whether it's animals or people that probably got them on edge just because they're, you know, unless you're camping a lot, it's probably something they're just not used to. So this is an interesting one. My best stab at this is just that you've got dogs that aren't used to the environment. They're feeling some kind of territorial stuff, which isn't surprising. And then you've got most likely like people walking around like they probably can't even see, you know, all the people. You know what I mean? Like camping is got like a relaxing but creepy factor because you can't always see what's going on or what's like kind of like creeping around. So who knows? That might be just stressing them out and stimulating them. As far as like best answers for this, you know, it always comes down to the same thing. If dogs are having a hard time being stressed out, the best thing we can do is give them information, right? The worst thing we can do is just let them figure it out, let them be stressed out, let them make the best of it or make the best sense of it that they can. So that would never be my solution. If they were my guys, for one, I'd want to have me collar trained. So if they are off leash, I've got really good control of them. I can call them back. I can have them down, I can have them place, I can have them, boy, do I look tired. I could have them do all that stuff. If I don't have them e-collar trained, then I would want to have them on leash or long lines, and I would want to have them tethered to something awfully strong, and I would be teaching them place like nobody's business. Even if you're out camping, it's like, guys, you know, your dogs are telling you they need help. So if your dogs didn't have any problems with camping and they weren't growling or getting weird, then I'd say let them do their thing and have fun, and they're comfortable and all that good stuff. But they're clearly telling you that there's something causing them to be stressed out, and so that's why you're seeing these reactions. So place command, you can bring place commands with you on camping trips. You can fold some towels, teach them that, make it non-negotiable, really let them know these are rules, don't mess with it. Keep them tethered so you don't have to worry, like tethered to where they can make the mistake and come off, but not so tight that they're like straining at the end of the leashes or anything like that. And that would be my best suggestion. Give them information so they're not stressed out and not making bad choices. And that's the best I can do with a weird camping trip. issue. Yeah, just more information. It's the same thing, whether it's camping or whether it's in your house or whatever it is, or in your car. It's just dogs need more information about how to behave in a situation that they don't know how to behave in, and that's our job, is to help them make better choices in that. So hope that helps. All right, thanks. Bye.
Okay, guys, question number,
I think 8.
9. No, the last one was 8. Yeah, 9. This is because these are the two. No, these are the 2 Instagrams. So, okay. Question number 9. This is from Gayula the Pitbull. She says, "Hi, Sean and Laura. I just recently discovered Q&A Saturday, and I love it. Thanks so much for all the information I've already learned. Yay. I have a question about my 17-month-old pitbull. On walks in the city, she's really good and will listen to low-level corrections on the e-collar. We can pass and walk by strange dogs with no problem. In the park with strange off-leash dogs, she'll be more reactive. She'll focus, and the closer the dog is, the tenser she'll get. Last week, she pounded on 2 dogs and that were off-leash, just running by us, not even noticing her. When I corrected her on the highest level on the e-collar, she went right through the correction like she didn't even feel it. After that, I changed my approach, correcting the finest clues of tension in my dog on a way higher setting on the e-collar, and it's working for her to start to ignore the dog. My goal is for her to be comfortable on strange off-leash dogs and eventually be able to play with these other strange dogs. Am I on the right path with the training approach to get her to learn to relax around strange dogs? She's muzzled and correctly muzzle trained, e-collar trained, and always on a long line. Thank you guys. Love from Holland."
What was her name?
Gula, the pitbull.
I can't say it. The pitbull. Okay, so, well, if you've watched us before, you know we've got pretty strong feelings about, like, kind of subjecting our dogs to having to be social if they don't dig being social. Not every dog enjoys it. Not every dog is down for it. Not every dog loves it. And so, like, just like not every person enjoys going to parties and being thrust into that social environment and having to, just like it makes us stressed out, it can make other dogs stressed out. So personally, I'd really like to recommend that you and your pittie have a really great time, that you take your pittie places where, you know, you've got him on e-collar and you have fun and you romp and you do all that stuff. And if you've got friends, dog friends that you know that are safe and that your dog can play with, that's great. But the notion of that you need to kind of get your dog to be okay to mingle with strange dogs, I think is asking an awful lot. Not every dog is down for that. Not every dog is equipped emotionally for that. Not every dog is equipped experientially from as far as what they've had in their experiences for that stuff. So definitely, like, you've got kind of the reverse of what a lot of people have, which is on leash, your dog's doing great, and off leash, your dog's being more uncomfortable. Typically, it's the reverse. Typically, dogs are better off leash and more reactive on leash, but you got the reverse thing going on. So, you know, you're doing a lot of great stuff. The correcting early with the e-collar when your dog's getting tense or awkward around other dogs is definitely a better strategy than waiting till your dog like pounces on another dog and then trying to blast them off of that, because at that point, excuse me, I got an itch, because at that point your dog's drive is probably way too intense, and so you're kind of just stuck. So I'd really like to I'd really like to impress upon you that for your dog's sake, like really honoring your dog, like we all want our dogs to be better. We all want them to be the best they can be. We all want to see how far we can stretch their stability and balance. But I'd really like to impress upon you the possibility that it's just not great for your dog, that mingling with other dogs, strange dogs, your dog is telling you it's stressing it out. It's not feeling comfortable. It's trying to go after other dogs. So what I would be doing if it was my dog, I would be wanting to go out, have a great time with my dog, have him off leash, have him on e-collar, do all that stuff. If you've got him on a long line, man, you're being extra safe, which is great. And then we go to the park all the time with my guys, but I don't let my guys mingle with other dogs. I don't trust other dogs. I don't trust that they're going to behave appropriately. And I don't want to put my dogs in a position where they lose trust in other dogs, or another dog manhandles them or bullies them, or my dog misreads them, and then there's a dog fight or something like that. So I just don't put my dogs in that situation. We walk through the park off leash. I call them kind of around the other dogs. We skirt, kind of any dogs that are kind of being crazy. I just know my dogs don't dig it. they're perfectly social. They're not dangerous. They just don't want to go play with other dogs. They just want to hang out and be with me and be with each other. So I would say like prioritizing where your dog's comfort level seems to be at would be a really good move for you to keep your dog out of harm's way and keep your dog and out of creating harm for other dogs as well. So it can be a hard one when we want our dogs to be social, but that kind of that drive that we personally have, that like our dogs need to have dog friends to be, you know, happy and fulfilled. It's not the case. If your dog has you and he's balanced and you're doing great work with him and you're fulfilling his needs, and he can be great. Pick a few select great dog friends that he's safe with and comfortable with. That's all you need. But don't go out there and try and make him comfortable with strange dogs, because that's the whole problem is that word, strange dogs. The reason he's not comfortable is because he doesn't trust them. And so what you're getting is you're getting proactive behavior from him because he doesn't trust strange dogs. So you're asking a lot of him. Some of these dogs are so easy with it, and they're like, strange dogs, mange dogs, I don't care, I love everybody. But that's not even most dogs. So not to put a damper on your parade, not to say that you can't push your dog and try and stretch things and get things better. But I would say, if I was you, from what you've explained to me, I would enjoy my dog on my own, e-collar, long line on. Don't let him go and manhandle other dogs, and certainly don't let other dogs manhandle him. Just have a good time with him and let him, he doesn't want to go be social with those guys, so don't force him to. And if he does try and charge another dog, then you're darn tootin' of what you're doing as far as getting up there high on the e-collar early, quick, and nailing him for that and calling him back is absolutely the right thing to do. So that's my answer for you in Holland. Enjoy it out there. She's in Holland, right? Mm-hmm. You're lucky. It's a beautiful country. Enjoy yourself out there, and keep your doggy safe, all right? See ya. Bye.
Okay, question number 10, hopefully 10. Sorry, we're really tired. This is from Niels Kartsensen. Hey, Sean and Laura, I love your tutorial videos and watch as many Q&As as I can. I have 2 questions. 1, when will the Q&As be turned into podcasts, which I'll answer already. It's already done. It's in iTunes, so check that out.
Are we up to date on them, or are we behind?
We're probably a couple behind, but there should be about 30.
Be a bunch
yeah.
Yeah.
And number 2, most of your advice are aimed at adult dogs, so how should I go about training the boxer pup I'm bringing home at the beginning of August? Mm-hmm. She'll be 10 to 12 weeks. I hope you'll give me some pointers and that you'll excuse my spelling because I'm Danish.
Aww.
Niels.
What's the name?
Niels.
Niels. Hey, Niels. As somebody who lived in Denmark for a while and has probably been there, I don't know, 15, 20 times, Aalborg, and lived in Aalborg for a while, and Aarhus. I've been all over the joint. Love the country. Let's see, boxer pup. So Laura answered the question about our podcasts. So there's a caboodle of those, and we're a little behind on the very, very most recent ones, but those will be out soon. So you got a lot to jump into. As for boxer pups, we don't actually do a lot of puppy work personally. Me and Laura, Brittany does. She's our puppy specialist, so she does all the puppy work. So what I'd say is, Niels, is just to email us, and I'll have Brittany, I'll put her to work and have her email you back some specifics for your pup. You know, I mean, I can give you some stuff about, you know, some basics, but I'd rather her give you like a little bit of a better once over, and she'll give you some personal treatment on how to handle your pup. And so just email us. This is your part of the job though, right? So you've done this, now we're back at you, and now we're throwing the ball back in your court. And that means you got to email us at thegooddog.la@gmail.com. thegooddog.la@gmail.com, and just say, hey, it's Niels from Denmark. I need help with my, I need the promised help that you guys, you swore you'd give me, from Brittany with my boxer pup. And then we'll have Brittany fire out an email with some good info and tips for you, so you can get your doggy on the right track and make sure everything's cool with that. And I think that's all I've got to do, all I've got to offer for you, my Danish buddy. All right, see ya. Bye.
Quick wrap up. So we can get to sleep or something.
Guys, we're doing 6 days. Where am I looking over here? Right, 6 days. Train the trainers. So we're training. How many people do we have here? total?
13.
13. Training 13 new and experienced trainers how to do what we do. Me, Laura, Jeff Gelman, and they've traveled from all over the place. We're in Dallas, Texas, and avoiding the storms as much as possible, and not avoiding the candy and junk and the other things as much as possible.
Let's go.
Wow.
My arm hurts.
Oh, wow. We're out of here. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. I know this isn't going to be a super fancy Q&A Saturday, but we're here for you. We got it out, so we're happy we got it out. And next one, we'll be back to our old tricks back in LA with the fancy cam and all that good stuff. So we love you guys. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Keep the questions coming, all right? Bye.